In this video, we'll be going in depth on the settings available for your T-sheets, so you can configure your course exactly how you like it. We'll configure general settings and see what each of these options do. Then we'll create a T-sheet, including configuring the details like increment settings. After that, we'll create a default and summer season and configure a public and member price class for each of them, where we can adjust how much we are charging and at what times. And lastly, we'll go over the basic marketing options, like sending out reminder text messages. Alright, now let's get started on making your first foreUP T-sheet from scratch. T-sheets can be configured by going into Settings, T-sheets. On the left, we have our general settings. These two options are your definitive open and close time for your T-sheets. Once you have set these, it's recommended that you do not change them without talking to a foreUP support rep. If you change them mid-season and someone has already booked a time beyond the new scope, their tee times will be altered. So set an open and close time that fits with your course, and use the further settings in the T-sheet to adjust times in the future. The Hide Back 9 setting will adjust the default view on the T-sheet page. It's easily toggled on and off on the T-sheet itself. The Pricing Fallback to First Player setting adjusts what rate customers are charged depending on the price class of who booked the tee time. For example, if this box is checked, and if a member booked a tee time with 3 guests, all 3 guests would get the member price instead of the public price. Update T-sheet automatically ensures that tee times booked online show up on your T-sheet automatically without you needing to refresh the page. Lockdown green fee selections ensures that customers are only being charged for their price class. For example, if this is unchecked, employees can adjust the price class freely. But if it's checked, then employees will only be able to set the price as whatever the customer is configured as in the customer's module. Auto-check split tee times will automatically split groups into individual time slots. This setting is a personal preference. It's used to see which individuals have checked in, as opposed to checking in a whole group entirely. For example, if you check this box and a group of 4 signs up together, their tee times will be split into 4 separate slots, each of which can be paid for individually, but they will also have to be checked in individually. If you leave this option unchecked, and a group of 4 signs up, on the T-sheet, their slot will take up 1 whole space. Keep in mind, you can always click Split on the tee time details screen to split on a case-by-case basis. These options only affect courses that have multiple T-sheets, and how those multiple T-sheets are displayed. By default, alternate T-sheets can be viewed by clicking on the down arrow of the T-sheet name and selecting the T-sheet, or you can stack them. This option will stack those multiple T-sheets so you can scroll down and view them. Or, if you happen to have extra wide monitors, you can check Stack T-sheets side by side to view multiple T-sheets next to each other. Checking the Always List All setting will list all players in the T-sheet module, while leaving it unchecked will only show the first player by default. Restrict check-ins to current day ensures employees can only check in a customer on the day of the customer's tee time. These check-in colors will change how it looks when customers are marked as teed off or finished in the system. So those are the general settings. Now, let's create a new T-sheet from scratch by clicking on Add New. On the left, we have our T-sheet details. Go ahead and give the T-sheet a name. If you create multiple T-sheets in the future, checking this box ensures that this T-sheet will show up first. Next, give the T-sheet a color. This color will become the top bar color in the T-sheet module. Next, select the number of holes the T-sheet has. Then, select the default increments between each tee time at your course. Changing increments mid-season can lead to problems, so if you need to change increments later on, please contact foreUP support for guidance. For example, If you set up increments at 10-minute intervals, and then mid-season changed it to 9-minute intervals, anyone who booked a tee time in advance will have their tee times knocked back by that offset. But for now, let's change the increments exactly how we need it. For this course, I'll set it up for 7/8 minutes. This is a special increment option. What it does is set our course up for alternating 7-minute/8-minute increments, like so. We also have mornings when there's frost on the ground, and we'd like to give our customers extra leeway time to work with that. So let's go into increment settings to set that up. Click Add New. We'll label it Frost and give it a light blue color. We'll set the start and end dates for when it's crisper outside in the mornings. And set the start time to 6 a.m. and then the end time when the frost generally goes away at 7 a.m. We'll select our days of the week, in this case all of them, and then adjust our increments. Our standard increment time is 7/8 minutes, but for golfers in the early morning, let's give them a solid 10 minutes of time between groups. On the tee sheet, you can see that our frost times show up from 6 to 7 a.m. You can even create increments that are shorter than your standard amount. For example, we can create a rush increment time of 7 minutes during our busy times between 10 a.m. and noon. You may want to give these increments a very light color so it's not so jarring on your tee sheet. Keep in mind that none of these increment details show up for customers, so these also make a great labeling system for your employees. So if you wanted to aerate the course every Tuesday at 1 p.m. on a regular basis, you could signify that to your employees here. Once you're done, click Save. For time to finish 9 holes, you can adjust how long it takes to complete 9 holes. For example, if a group starts at 10 a.m. and their time to finish 9 holes is 1 hour 30 minutes, their re-round time will put them on the back 9 at 11:30 a.m. The Notify All Participants checkbox will email all players if someone in their group cancels their tee time, as opposed to only notifying the customer that booked the time. Sunrise and Sunset dynamically adjusts your tee sheet based on when the sun rises and sets at your location. For courses that want to maximize playtime, this may be the setting for you. If you're interested in this, you may want to check out our Sunrise-Sunset tutorial video. Once you have your main settings done, you can create the default season. While you can have multiple seasons, it's important to keep your default up to date and with the right prices, just in case you miss times for other seasons or the dates overlap. If there's any ambiguity about what price to charge, the system is set up to charge the default season price. For default season, we'll leave the name as is. We can adjust the start and end date here if our course has specific times of the year that it is closed completely. Now, we have a rate we want to charge for the public, and then a cheaper rate we want to charge for our members. Let's create a new price class for our member player type. Give it a name and a color, and if you have GL codes for accounting purposes, add them here. Now that we have our price class, let's create a time frame. For our member golfers, we'll set their 9-hole green fees at $25, 18 holes at $45, and cart fees at $10 each. And we'll restrict them from when we usually open to when we usually close. If your course requires taxes for green fees and cart fees, you can edit the tax rate in the Settings, Tee Sheets, Taxes and Receipts section. Next, let's create our public time frame, and we'll set up our tee sheet to have different prices based on the time of the day. So public normal will happen every day of the week, and will be limited from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. We'll give rates of $35 for 9 holes, $55 for 18 holes, and $15 carts. To set up the twilight rate for normal players, we'll duplicate the time frame and rename this next one to Public Normal Twilight. we'll drop the prices for Twilight to $30 for 9 holes, $50 for 18 holes, and $10 for carts. And the most important thing to do is to set up our time restrictions from 5 p.m. to when we close. Alright, we have our default season in place. Next, we'll create our summer season by duplicating our default season. The reason why we duplicate as opposed to creating a new season is because duplicating will perfectly clone our timeframes and prices for our classes. It's easier to edit than it is to create from scratch. Go ahead and rename this new season to Summer Season. We'll leave our member prices as is, but let's configure our public price class to include weekday and weekend pricing. To do so, duplicate the public normal rate, and then rename the first one to Public Weekdays, and the second one to Public Weekends. Public weekdays will only be on Monday through Thursday, while public weekends will be from Friday through Sunday. We still want to use that Twilight rate all the days of the week, so we'll create a time restriction for both time frames to end at 5 p.m. and then adjust our rates accordingly, increasing the weekend rate by a little bit. Keep in mind that there's no limit to the number of time frames or price classes we can create. It all depends on the needs of your course. And if you ever need to edit price classes, you can do so in Settings, T-Sheets, Price Classes. Once we're done with both of our seasons and everything looks good, click Save Changes. Okay, now that that's all done, let's open a new tab to the T-Sheet and check our work. Our T-Sheet color is showing up, and our frost increments of 10 minutes each is happening from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and our rush hour increments of 7 minutes each are showing up from 10 till noon. Alright, now let's check out some various tea times. For example, noon on a Monday, our members are paying a normal $45 for 18 holes, while the public price class has a rate of $55. In the evening, members pay the normal $45, and the public pays a reduced $50. And for Saturday at noon, the public price class pays $60 for 18 holes, and members have the same normal rate. All right, everything looks in order. Now that that's complete, let's go over one last feature in the T-Sheet settings: marketing. This is the place to go if you would like to automatically send a reminder text or thank you email. Check this box to automatically send a reminder text message about 24 hours before the tea time to your customers. And if you would like to send a text or thank you email after their tea time, you can check this box, and then type in the name of the text or email campaign you can create in the marketing module. If you want more details, check out our marketing training videos. Alright, that is a comprehensive overview of foreUP T-Sheet settings. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to call support at 1-800-929-5737 or email support@foreup.com.